तो जैसे शुगर में आपने एक केक खा लिया खत्म, पर सोशल मीडिया ऐसा नहीं है. आपने पोस्ट डाला, आपको हेट मिला, लाइक आया, आपको हेट मिला, कमेंट आया, आपको हेट मिला. तो नाउ इफ यू डोंट गेट अ लाइक, नाउ इट इज द ऑपोजिट ऑफ रिवॉर्डिंग, इट इज पनिशमेंट. कि साले तूने तो प्रॉमिस किया था कि रिवॉर्ड मिल रहा है और अभी नहीं मिला, दैट मीन्स दैट योर प्रेडिक्टिव कैपेसिटी इज रॉन्ग. नाउ यू शुड बी पनिश्ड. Because if your prediction is wrong, then how do I know that you'll be able to predict when a tiger is coming to attack you? सब कुछ उस पे आता है. Like everything comes down to survival.
आज का गेस्ट एपिसोड है विद सिड वॉरियर. सिड इज अ न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट एंड अ यूट्यूबर. सिड के साथ मैंने बहुत सारी बातें की. वी टॉक्ड अबाउट साइकोलॉजी. आई टुक अ लॉट ऑफ रिकमेंडेशंस फ्रॉम हिम. हमने एडिक्शन की बातें की, हमने डिसिप्लिन की बातें की. बहुत ही शानदार एपिसोड है. आराम से कॉफी वॉफी बना के देखना. धीरे धीरे जैसे जैसे फ्लो बनता है हमारा, you will understand why I love podcasting and why it is just so much fun to get so many new diverse people for conversations. And if you're new to Chalchitra Talks, do subscribe to the channel. हम बहुत सारी recommendations देते हैं channel में of movies, books, music, and we also get a lot of guests to do it like Sid. So let's jump right inside the conversation I had with Sid Warrior. So welcome to Chalchitra Talks, Sid. How are you?
Thank you, brother. I'm very good. Thanks.
Very interesting combo. Like you are a doctor, you make YouTube videos, and मेरे को पता है, like I have like keep watching you in the feed, and I know you do interesting stuff. For me, you are like almost the Indian Ali Abdal.
That is a crazy cool compliment. I follow Ali. I love doctors who go out to become creators. Of course, Ali has left medicine. I'm not planning to do that. I really enjoy my practice. I love being a neurologist. I love going to the hospital, seeing patients. But I've also started to love this new part of life, content creation, basically finding an interesting way of sharing what I know. For me, that is what content creation is.
What was the need to start this? Like, आपको hook point क्या आया कि okay, now let's do something like this?
It started off in the pandemic. I was having free time, and it literally started off with a tweet. I found medical students on Twitter complaining that in their colleges, classes had stopped.
Got it.
They didn't have access to clinical experience. So I put out a tweet saying that, hey, listen, I'm free. I'm a neurologist. I can teach you some neurology. Medical students को अगर interest हो तो आ जाओ, Zoom पे मिलते हैं. And then some of them couldn't attend it live, so they said, can you upload it somewhere? And I remembered कि 2010 में मैंने एक YouTube चैनल बना के रख दिया था, जिसमें 8 सब्सक्राइबर्स थे, जो कि मेरे फैमिली एंड फ्रेंड्स थे. तो मैंने बोला कि चलो उसका पासवर्ड ढूंढ के निकाल लिया, और मैंने बोला कि मैं उसमें अपलोड करके रख देता हूँ. And very, very slowly that channel started climbing up to 20, 80, 100 subscribers. And then Tanmay Bhatt contacted me saying he was looking to do some streams with a doctor because he thought it would be an interesting topic. हमने एक Zoom call किया, अच्छा लगा, vibe अच्छा था. We started streaming together on his channel. And I still remember on that first day, after I did a stream with Tanmay, Abhish and Kanis, and Tanmay went to my YouTube channel and said, अच्छा चलो इसको जल्दी से 2000 subscribers करा दो. 2010 to 2020, my subscriber base was 80. From 2020, 8 p.m. to 8:15 p.m., it reached 2000 subscribers.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, so it was insane. And he basically told me that you should definitely do more of this.
I think अंकुर वारिको की भी यही I think story है ना, जब अंकुर ने तन्मय के साथ like किया था, and then he kind of started doing it properly.
Yeah.
Tanmay is basically the मसीहा जो सबको
yeah, he's the godfather of content creation, dude.
Good stuff. So okay, and like आप जो neurology में like surgery भी करते, are you surgeon like, or what part of like neurology?
No. So in medicine, what happens is after MBBS, which is common to everyone, which is undergraduation, then you have to choose कि आपको surgery पसंद है कि medicine पसंद है. Basically, आपको लोगों को काटना पसंद है कि नहीं. So if you like that, then you become a surgeon. I didn't enjoy that. I enjoyed diagnosing, treating more. So I became a MD medicine physician.
Nice.
And then once you do MD medicine, then you have to choose which body part do you like the most.
Nice.
And then you super specialize in that body part. So I picked the brain.
समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग आई टेल यू। एक किताब पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं अभी, जिसके बारे में बहुत बात करता रहता हूँ। बिल ब्राइसन की किताब है, द बॉडी पढ़ रहा हूँ। द बॉडी का ना सबसे कूल पार्ट क्या है, ये उसका ना कवर है, द बॉडी गाइड फॉर ऑक्यूपेंट्स। मैं आपको चैप्टर नेम्स बताता हूँ, हमें बहुत सही इन पॉइंट मिल जाएंगे, बिकॉज मैं ना रैंडमली चैप्टर्स पिक करता हूँ इसमें से। करंटली आई शुड हैव फिनिश्ड इट बिफोर टॉकिंग टू यू। आई एम रीडिंग अ चैप्टर कॉल्ड द ब्रेन।
नाइस।
मैंने लिखो हाईलाइट, लास्ट में हाईलाइटेड द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट ब्रेन्स ही फाउंड वर दोस दैट कुड सॉल्व अ टास्क क्विकली एंड देन गो इनटू काइंड ऑफ स्टैंड बाय मोड। मेरे को ना थोड़ा वो विटामिन डेफिशिएंसी हो गई थी कुछ टाइम पहले, तो मेरे को सडनली बॉडी के बारे में बहुत जानने का मन किया, B12D, तो मैंने चीजें पढ़ना चालू किया। सो आई विल टेल यू द चैप्टर्स नेम। ठीक है, द फर्स्ट इज हाउ टू बिल्ड अ ह्यूमन। सो इन्होंने एक पूरा किया कि अगर आप बॉडी के हर पार्ट को इकट्ठा करोगे तो एक बॉडी की कितना लाइक क्या कहते हैं अमाउंट होगी, कितने मतलब बॉडी की रकम क्या होगी अगर हर चीज की कीमत होगी। तो अराउंड 1 करोड़ रुपए टाइप की एक बॉडी होती है हर चीज की, अगर वो क्या ना, तो वो बहुत फैंसी था। देन है द आउटसाइड स्किन एंड हेयर, third is microbial you, fourth is the brain, fifth is the head, then heart and blood, chemistry department, in dissecting room, equilibrium, immune system, deep breath, the guts. I have read the guts, मैंने directly the guts पढ़ लिया था। and then a food, glorious food, this was my favorite chapter, मैंने बहुत कम पढ़ा है, because इसमें एक लाइन थी, a heart attack is 50% like genes and 50% cheeseburger।
Too true man, too true। मतलब हम लोग जेनेटिक्स पे बहुत ब्लेम करते हैं, बट देन सब कुछ एनवायरनमेंट पे आ जाता है।
Yeah. Then I also read sleep, then there is nerves and pains, medicine, good and bad. Amazing. हमारे चैनल पे रोहन जोशी आए थे, उन्होंने एक चीज बोली थी, if you ever go into a library and if you see the 2 words written Bill Bryson, देखो ही मत क्या किताब है, बस खरीद लो।
Absolutely। So I have not read this book, but then in my defense I've been reading this stuff since the last 15 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I find his other books very, very interesting, like especially travel books. I love the way he, completely dissects a country, like Down Under for Australia and Notes from a Small Island. I love the way that he makes it so relatable. So I can understand from your perspective, like biology would be a very novel subject, right?
Absolutely.
And he will make it so easy to understand.
मैंने जैसे A Brief History of Nearly Everything पढ़ी है इससे पहले, बहुत ही शानदार बुक है वो, क्योंकि लोगों को शायद 9th-10th में पता चल जाता है। मेरे को ये किताब पढ़ते हुए 2nd ईयर ऑफ कॉलेज में पता चला था कि जब आप स्टार्स को देखते हो आप पास्ट में देख रहे हो। मतलब सुना होता ही है, बट लाइक लॉजिकली मेरे को तब समझ आया, ओ। और ना आई थिंक कॉस्मोस का कोई एपिसोड है, पुराना वाला भी और नए वाले में, जिसमें नील डिग्रास टाइप पर्सन है, कि वो लाइफ चेंजिंग मोमेंट होता है जब आपको ये चीज समझ आती है कि स्टार्स को देख रहे हो आप एक्चुअली पास्ट में देख। तो इसने समझाई। बिल ब्राइसन क्या करता है, विदाउट मेकिंग यू फील स्मॉलर कि तेरे को ये नहीं पता, फक तेरे को ये नहीं पता, ही एक्सप्लेन्स स्टफ टू यू एंड दैट इज व्हाई यू फील, अरे यार यही तो टीचर चाहिए था।
करेक्ट, ये तो हमारा दोस्त है जो अपने को अच्छे से समझा रहा है। For me that moment also came in neurology when I realized that हमारे सामने जो हो रहा है that is also happening in the past and it is,
ये मेरे को नहीं पता, बताओ इसके बारे में।
मतलब कि मेरे सामने जो दिख रहा है, by the time I am consciously aware of it, वो moment already चला गया होता है, so it is not instantaneous। तो मेरे ब्रेन के काफी सारे नेटवर्क्स के थ्रू वो इंफॉर्मेशन को प्रोसेस होते होते मेरे कॉन्शियसनेस में आएगा, तो ही मुझे मेरे अवेयरनेस आएगा। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, व्हेन यू पोर, इफ यू हैव यू एवर फिल्टर्ड कॉफी?
Not really, but yeah, I know the process.
Like you can imagine, right? Like you've put coffee powder and you've poured hot water on top, और फिर धीरे धीरे नीचे कॉफी accumulate होता है। वो नीचे कॉफी accumulate होना is our awareness. We are becoming aware of our environment. But जो अंदर जा रहा है, information जा रहा है, that is the hot water on top. तो जो बीच में का जो टाइम है, उतना टाइम निकल जाता है। What I see, what I hear, what I touch, by the time I am aware of it, it takes some time. It takes a few milliseconds. So we are always living in the past.
मेरा यही क्वेश्चन था, कितनी देर का लैग है?
So that depends on how good your circuit is, like how good your processing is. Quite literally, there are some brain diseases जहाँ पे because the processing is happening slower, you lose connection with reality, क्योंकि तुम्हारा brain reality को process नहीं कर पा रहा है। So the neurology actually makes you think about reality a lot कि सच क्या है.
मेरे को लगता है बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग एपिसोड होने वाला है बिकॉज देयर आर टू मेनी पैरेलल्स जिन चीजों में मेरे को इंटरेस्ट है और जो अभी बातें निकल के आ रही हैं. फिल्टर कॉफी का मैं एक वो जस्टिफिकेशन दे देता हूँ. मैं बड़ी वेनिला कॉफी बनाता हूँ बाय दैट वेरी सिंपल कि दूध के साथ चीनी डाल के जो सारे सिंस होते हैं ना, अरे शुगर, अरे मिल्क, लाइक वेरी बेसिक. नेस्कैफे ज्यादा अच्छा पैसा हुआ कभी तो नेस्कैफे गोल्ड, दैट्स इट. वेरी वेरी बेसिक. बट आई हैव सीन पीपल वो जो मशीन्स में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं फिल्टर और वो, भाई बड़ा फैसिनेटिंग लगता है.
तो मतलब वो तो उनका तरीका है ना. इट्स देयर वे ऑफ सेल्फ लव. दैट यू गिव समथिंग सो मच इम्पोर्टेंस और उस पे इतना एफर्ट डालो कि तुमने जब वैसा वाला कॉफी बनाया तो तुमको लगता है कि आई हैव रिवॉर्डेड माई सेल्फ, लाइक आई लव माई सेल्फ. व्हाई नॉट? इट्स ग्रेट.
मैं आजकल सुबह आई गो टू प्ले एंड लाइक मैं टेनिस खेलता हूँ तो मैं गाड़ी में लेक्स फ्रीडमैन के पॉडकास्ट सुनता हूँ. एंड अभी लेटेस्ट एपिसोड सुन रहा हूँ. तो अभी तक तो पहले लाइक जब द मोस्ट यूजुअल सस्पेक्ट सुनता था, बट अब मेरे को आदत पड़ रही है. एंड he is like a kind of a podcaster I would eventually want to be like, right? The things he is interested in. आज सोशल मीडिया पे एक बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन हो रहा था, तो उसी की थोड़ी बात करते हैं. मेरे को लगता है बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग थ्रेड्स आएंगे. सोशल मीडिया से रिलेटेड था कि डिप्रेशन जो प्री टीन्स में है वो सारा तो हमने सुना है कि आपके वो वायरिंग चेंज कर रहा है फंडामेंटली. बेसिकली एक बंदा उसमें जो गेस्ट था वो बोलता है इट इज नॉट लाइक शुगर. लोग को सोचते हैं कि सोशल मीडिया इज लाइक शुगर. इट्स नॉट लाइक शुगर बिकॉज ये फंडामेंटली आपकी वायरिंग चेंज कर रहा है. शुगर वो नहीं करता, राइट? तो लाइक व्हाट, लाइक आपको क्या लगता है और आपका क्या पूरा लाइक इस बारे में टेक है सोशल मीडिया को लेके?
मतलब there are certain similarities with sugar because at the end of the day एक pleasure pathway होता है. जो सारे pleasure points ultimately वो एक common pathway पे आके land होता है. Anything that makes you feel good, हमारे brain का जो neurochemistry है, dopamine है, जो काफी पॉपुलर हुआ है आजकल, लोगों को पता है, सुना हुआ है लोगों ने डोपामीन के बारे में. तो वो डोपामीन पाथवे सिमिलर होता है शुगर और सोशल मीडिया पे. द रीजन आई फील सोशल मीडिया इज इवन मोर पावरफुल इज दैट शुगर इज स्टिल लाइक अ वेरी इंडिविजुअल प्लेजर. आप अकेला रूम पे बैठ के आप खा रहे हो और यू गेट व्हाट यू गेट. बट सोशल मीडिया में इट इज नॉट जस्ट द प्लेजर ऑफ consuming social media, it is also about social validation. तो आप जो सोशल मीडिया पे डाल रहे हो, 4 लोग देख रहे हैं, हर एक बार वो लाइक आता है, हर रीट्वीट आता है, हर कमेंट आता है, यू आर गेटिंग कॉन्स्टेंट हिट्स. तो जैसे शुगर में आपने एक केक खा लिया, खत्म. बट सोशल मीडिया ऐसा नहीं है. आपने पोस्ट डाला, आपको हिट मिला, लाइक आया, आपको हिट मिला, कमेंट आया, आपको हिट मिला, किसी ने कुछ बुरा बोल दिया, आपको बुरा लग गया, बट देन इमीडिएटली उस पर हिट भी आ गया. So it is like a never-ending cycle. Social media is a little bit more complex than sugar.
तो जैसे मैंने एक डोपामीन पे वीडियो देख रहा था, तो टू टेल मी इफ इट इज करेक्ट, क्योंकि मेरे को बड़ा फैसिनेटिंग लगा. तो बंदे ने बताया डोपामीन रिलीज तब नहीं होता है जब आपका लाइक आता है. डोपामीन रिलीज तब होता है जब आप फोन खोलते हो और जब तक इंस्टाग्राम पे जाके वो चेक कर रहे हो, उस एंटिसिपेशन में डोपामीन रिलीज हो जाता है.
एब्सोल्युटली. तो आप डोपामीन का स्पाइक देखोगे तो इट इज जस्ट बिफोर दैट पॉइंट ऑफ प्लेजर, when you are expecting. तो which is also why disappointment भी आता है, because आपका इतना डोपामीन हाई तक पहुंच गया है कि उसके बाद अगर उसका वैलिडेशन नहीं मिला तो योर ब्रेन पनिशेस यू.
ट्रू.
क्योंकि ब्रेन को क्या लगता है कि मुझे कुछ तो बहुत अच्छा मिलने वाला है, राइट? द ब्रेन इज रिवॉर्डिंग यू फॉर प्रिडिक्टिंग करेक्टली. तो नाउ इफ यू डोंट गेट अ लाइक, नाउ इट इज द ऑपोजिट ऑफ रिवॉर्डिंग, इट इज पनिशमेंट. कि साले तूने तो प्रॉमिस किया था कि रिवॉर्ड मिल रहा है और अभी नहीं मिला, दैट मीन्स दैट योर प्रिडिक्टिव कैपेसिटी इज रॉन्ग. नाउ यू शुड बी पनिश्ड. Because if your prediction is wrong, then how do I know that you'll be able to predict when a tiger is coming to attack you? सब कुछ उस पे आता है. Like everything comes down to survival. The better you are at prediction, the better you are at survival. So every time you predict something correctly, you get a dopamine kick. So abhi now if I open Instagram, my brain is already predicting कि चलो 8 like तो होंगे. अगर उसके ज्यादा आ गया, मुझे और dopamine मिल गया. Because unexpected reward, right? Nothing better than unexpected reward.
Damn
Like
nice.
the only thing better than expected reward is unexpected reward.
Do you have any active addictions?
I was addicted to social media for a while, especially after this last 1 year where my engagement with social media really increased. Because earlier as a medical student, you're not interacting so much, you know. My relationship with Instagram was putting photos of my trips. I used to write poems. तो मैं poetry share करता था, मेरे close friends देखते थे, comment करते थे. Like that was it. In the last 1 month, ever since I've started creating content, my followers went from 800 to 47,000 right now. It's a very different experience. So I had to actively take a call. Okay, this is becoming an addiction. I need to step back. It's still not complete. I still feel that I have some way to go.
It's still an active addiction.
It is still an active addiction. Yes, absolutely. Instagram and Twitter, both of these. And the other active addiction that I developed was chess. Which is surprising, right? And you don't really associate chess with addiction. But chess का एक variation होता है bullet करके. I don't know if you play chess, but
मैंने खेला है, but मेरे को इसके बारे में नहीं पता.
The bullet chess is an online game where you get only 1 minute total, and your opponent only gets 1 minute. तो पूरा game खत्म होता है 2 मिनट में. आप कहीं पे भी खेल सकते हो, किधर भी खड़े होके खेल सकते हो. कॉन्वर्सेशन में थोड़ा लैग आ गया तो आप गेम खोल के खेल सकते हो. रेलवे स्टेशन पे खड़े हो, ट्रेन 2 मिनट में आ रहा है, तुम खेल सकते हो. And you find that you are reaching out and opening that app and you're playing a game anywhere randomly. Until my family had to tell me that, भाई तू हमारे साथ बैठा हुआ है. And I didn't even realize that I've opened it and I've started playing. So you definitely need to be careful. Addictions can creep up from anywhere.
I'll ask a more modified question. Any substance addictions previously, currently, not really necessarily drugs, carb, sugar, कोई भी substance related thing? So
unhealthy eating is an addiction that I think most of us have. Primarily because we are brought up with that kind of attitude, right? Like cakes, chocolates are reward foods. हम लोग को बर्थडे में दिया जाता है, when you have to celebrate. So बहुत ही deeply ingrained है कि अगर आपको खुश रहना है या अगर आपको कुछ खुशी दिखाना है तो you are eating high carb foods. That while growing up, definitely that was a thing. And even later on when you are in the hostel, now that मम्मी पापा नहीं है, कोई बताने के लिए है नहीं, like you can eat whatever you want. रात को 2 बजे मैगी खा लो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. So you definitely get into that lifestyle choice. और उससे निकलना मुश्किल था. I had to actively make a decision that घर पे नहीं आएगा. Like this was the game changer for me. कि घर के अंदर नहीं आएगा. Like just don't buy chips, just don't get pizza, burgers at home. तो घर में it's only home cooked food. बाहर जब जाओगे तो ठीक है. So that helped me get over that addiction. But otherwise there was a phase in the middle where there were always biscuits, chips at home. And फिर उतना सोचना नहीं होता ना. Like आप live stream कर रहे हो, चलो लेके आ गए, कुछ तो खा लिया. रात को 2 बजे भूख लगी, कुछ तो खोल लिया, खा लिया. So it becomes very easy. So yes, I think I can count that also as an addiction.
आपसे बात करते करते कैसे कोई शॉर्ट फिल्म है या कैसे शॉर्ट सीरीज आइडिया है, लाइक कट टू एक पार्टी चल रही है, राइट, और लाइक रिटर्न गिफ्ट में सबको ब्राउन एग्स मिल रहे हैं और सब कंफ्यूज हो रहे हैं, सबको एक दिस इज योर अंडा दे दिया सबको एक, और बच्चे छोटे छोटे कंफ्यूज हो गए कि क्या चल रहा है.
I mean, yeah, if you care, that's what you would do.
yeah man. एक और चीज मैं आपसे यहाँ पे जानना चाह रहा था. What is more unhealthy, having no breakfast or having Maggie for breakfast?
What a choice. I'm a big believer in having breakfast because I feel that in India, our bodies are wired for that. Traditionally, breakfast is an important part of the Indian food. Like we have such a wide cuisine in breakfast. Every culture, like Gujarati breakfast, if I say Gujarati breakfast, immediately in your mind certain food items will pop up, right? South Indian breakfast, immediately you will remember कि अच्छा ये hai. So since a very long time, our parents, our grandparents, we have been brought up with that culture of eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't think we need to change that, honestly. Like, I don't think we need to do intermittent fasting or anything. What I do think is that the habit of fasting is great. So follow Indian traditions if you want to. Do your monthly, twice a month fasting. Do that Friday ka fast. Do that Friday water only fast. Try it out. Try different things. Bro, honestly, I don't think Maggie is healthy. So if you're saying
what's more unhealthy?
Correct. Yeah, it's a very tricky question. If breakfast was the only thing that you were going to have, right? And after that, you're not going to eat anything till dinner. I would say, acha, chalo, Maggie kha ke nikal jao. Theek hai. You need to have something. But then if you're going to have lunch at 12:31, it's okay.
पर ये तो context based हो गया बहुत. Like आपने बस ये देखा question. मान लो मैंने Insta पे poll में डाला है, तो क्या select करोगे? What's more unhealthy? No breakfast or Maggie for breakfast? Let's simplify.
I would still say Maggie for breakfast, probably.
Got it. मैंने किया था, मैं आपको बताऊं final results क्या था. I don't know which one, but one was on 49%, one was on 51%.
Wow. Yeah, probably Maggie for breakfast. Like skipping breakfast is not that bad. As long as you're having lunch, it's completely fine. Got it.
And सही है, मेरे को काफी interesting insights मिल रही हैं.
And मुझे भी interesting insights मिल रही है into your personality. Like I like this. So this poll can reveal a lot. It's a sadistic poll.
I'll tell you another poll that I did like on like my Facebook. I did like I think 4 years back. अगर आपको किसी को बोलना है कि like अगर आपको कोई बोलता है bro AC थोड़ा तेज कर दे, so will you increase temperature or decrease?
Yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely a contextual question. Because they normally mean
exactly, and the answer is non-contextual because it's a poll.
I get it. I get your pleasure points.
But नहीं, मैं ऐसे I wouldn't like to believe I'm a sadistic आदमी, मतलब इतना तो नहीं है, छोटी चीज है.
नहीं यार, like it's there is a lot of pleasure in making people think, because if you think about it, हम लोग ज्यादा सोचते नहीं हैं. Most of our day, most of the things that we do are some kind of habits. हम लोग ऐसे instinctively with the flow जा रहे हैं. So anything that makes us stop and makes us think, if you've noticed, it is slightly annoying. So आपका poll is slightly annoying because वो easily answer नहीं आता. Now I have to stop. Now I have to put down whatever thoughts that were going on. Auto mode standby पे जो भी चल रहा था, screen saver चल रहा था, मुझे इसको off करना पड़ रहा है. I have to allocate resources into your question.
Very nice. And that's the point. That's the point. जो अभी एक question चल रहा था, again a question for you, कि ये मेरे को ऐसे वो Reddit पे are mildly infuriating वाली चीजें लग रही है. So are there more doors in the world or more wheels in the world?
Yeah. A friend of mine recently asked us. I don't think there is a good answer. It would probably be equal. Because the use case scenarios for both are like very similar. Like a car would have both 4 wheels, 4 doors. I mean, every door would have some kind of wheel in it because you need it to open, right? Every hinge would have some kind of circular wheel, right?
So अगर आप hinge को wheel के जैसे देख रहे हो, फिर तो again,
it'll be almost equal. Everything will.
But if you don't consider hinges as wheels, then?
Yeah, I would still say they would be equal. And it's a very safe answer because कौन check करेगा? How do we check? Was there an answer to this poll? Has it been proven?
No. But like it's ये good ice breaking questions है, right? Like and in general मेरे को तो ऐसी अजीब चीजों में ही मजा आता है. आप जैसे आपको मैं और fodder देता हूँ मेरी personality में. I direct also by profession, so I made this short film about a guy. Okay, hear me out. It's called Leap Lipi. So this short film is about a guy who is born on 29th of Feb and it's a non-leap year. और रात के 12 बजने वाले हैं and he's feeling depressed कि 11:55 हो गए और जैसे ही 12 बजेंगे so that one day of which proves my existence wouldn't come. राइट सो वो फिर एक डिलीवरी बॉय से कुछ मंगाता है पिज्जा वगैरह और उसको बिठा के अपनी पूरी लाइफ स्टोरी बताता है कि जब मैं 5 साल का था तो मैं यहाँ से कॉलेज से निकल गया था, 7 साल का हुआ तो मेरी शादी टूट गई थी, और उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा है. राइट सो एंड इवेंचुअली द डिलीवरी गाय मेक्स हिम कट द केक एट 11:59 कि इज लाइक लेट्स स्टॉप द टाइम एंड have a moment
Super.
for you.
Nice. Oh, I love that. So, so you are somebody who finds pauses between things like जो बाकी लोग मिस कर देते हैं.
Yeah.
That's very
थोड़ा
interesting.
सा हाँ, जो quirks जो होते हैं ना चीज में, मेरे को उनमें बड़ा like मजा आता है. कोई भी okay this but what if वाला जो आता है.
Yeah, there is a website called Wait But Why. If you haven't checked it out, you would probably love it. It's kind of on this. He takes these really quirky, nahi bol sakte, but like very interesting topics and does a deep dive on them. Okay. And he has these animations, these sketches, and he takes very complex topics like Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson agar blog likhta bachcho ke liye to kaisa dikhta? So Wait But Why is like that. The author is Tim Urban. He has a very famous TED talk on the mind of a master procrastinator. So it may have even popped up on your feed at some point, but definitely check it out.
Done, man. मैंने लिख लिया ये. मैं थोड़ा आपसे और एडिक्शंस की बात करना चाहता हूँ because I got into this space अभी रिसेंटली जहाँ पे मैं बहुत ही ज्यादा फैसिनेट हो गया हूँ, जहाँ पे हैबिट्स की भी बात आ जाती है.
Right.
और वो है ना कि 21 दिन में, डू यू बिलीव इन द कॉन्सेप्ट कि 21 दिन में कुछ भी आप नया सीख सकते हो या एग्जिस्टिंग हैबिट तोड़ सकते हो?
नहीं, 21 days is still too less, but it is a good starting point because the first 21 days are the hardest. Because that is where you face maximum resistance. So from that perspective, it holds some water. But it's not that 21 days ke baad you cannot go back. There is a reason why Alcoholics Anonymous, like AA, have a 12-week program. It takes longer. Jada time lagta hai. And the stronger the addiction, the more time it takes. And what 12 weeks be arbitrary hai. Because after that also, you have to be constantly in touch with your mentor. They will keep on following up, and they celebrate your birthdays every year. So there are constant milestones. So ये 21 days is just a way of, getting people into it. कि भाई तुम 21 days तो try करो. क्योंकि उसके बाद convince करना और easy बनाता है. कि चलो इसके आगे और 21 days कर लो. So I am doing this project called Neuro Living Project, which is a 6-week project, 42 days. And it's again on habit building. We use all the neuroscientific evidence-based techniques to build a new habit.
One second, आप करवा रहे हैं या आप participate कर रहे हैं?
No, I'm running a project.
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing like an open source everyday morning 6:15 a.m. Instagram live to help people wake up in the morning. So it's like a trigger.
Oh.
Just come on the live, wish good morning, say like present. It's like a classroom. Just say that I'm present,
nice.
And then go about. Like, don't stay for the live. Start your day. Go for a run. Do something. Whatever it is. Even if you can just skip at home, do 5 push-ups and start your day. Whatever. Just move. Start your body. Because we always start our minds. We drink coffee, we read the newspapers, we'll check Instagram, but we don't start our bodies. That has a spiraling effect on our minds. So that's something that I'm doing. And I'm doing like a special cohort-based 7 people over 6 weeks. Dedicated unko guide karna on how to start a habit. So that's like a separate thing.
Superb. Can we talk a little more about like the importance of starting body? I'll give you some context to the question कि मैं खुद की life में जैसे experience कर रहा हूँ. So one of the best things that I did in my life actively was in October I started playing lawn tennis and I have still been doing it. So मेरी सुबह 8 बजे क्लास होती है. पहले 9 होती थी but मैंने जल्दी करवाई धूप की वजह से. अब क्या हो रहा है? I have been waking up late. So मैं 7:40 के अराउंड उठ रहा हूँ और जैसे आज मैं ऑलमोस्ट मिस करने वाला था बट मैंने कहा यू नो व्हाट फक इट चले जाते हैं और मैं 8:10 पहुंचा. और रोज बहुत दिन से हो रहा है कि यार लेट हो गए, मना कर देते हैं कुछ को, बट आई स्टिल गो क्योंकि मेरी बॉडी स्टार्ट हो जाती है. अब इसके फायदे क्या होंगे? आई जस्ट कंटेक्चुअली आल्सो वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड इट, लाइक मी शोइंग अप एवरी डे इन द मॉर्निंग.
आप सोच लो, देयर आर मेनी लेवल्स ऑफ एडवांटेजेस. अभी कैसे ब्रेक डाउन कर सकते हैं? यू नीड टू किक स्टार्ट योर एरोबिक metabolism, right?
Okay.
You need to start breathing. Like what I believe is that mornings should be dedicated to aerobics. Anything that gets you breathing harder. It could be swimming, it could be running, it could be jogging, elliptical, anything.
By harder, you mean faster?
Faster, right? Breathing more deeply, breathing more rapidly. If nothing else, if you can just sit at home and do deep breathing, that should also work, but then your muscles aren't moving. So you want to get your blood circulation also up. Literally think about it like starting your car. You know, वो engine में ignition आप turn कर रहे हो, that is what deep breathing and muscle movement is. So subah, once you get up, you can have your cup of coffee if you want to, or your cup of chai if you want to, and then get your body started. Get your blood circulation going, get your breathing up, get your blood oxygen levels up, and then start your day. And how you do this is up to you. You need an excuse. And that's what it comes down to. Like, that's what even I realized from Neuro Living Project. आपको कुछ तो बहाना चाहिए. Just knowing that this is good for you is not enough. सबको पता है.
Right.
This is not new. इस दुनिया में कोई नहीं है जिसको नहीं पता है ये. लेकिन करते सिर्फ 10%, 5%, 1% लोग करते होंगे.
1% करते.
Right? तो बहाना चाहिए. तो आपके लिए कौन सा बहाना क्लिक होता है? भाई, go for it. Like, don't give it up. Now that you've found tennis,
yeah,
go for it every day and find people to compete with.
Absolutely. ये जो watches में भी आता है ना, compete with person का, बड़ी cool चीज है. And you know, जैसे अब मेरे लिए वो थोड़ा कम इंटरेस्टिंग हो गया था क्योंकि धूप की वजह से. So how I made it more interesting. पहले मैं गाने सुनता था, मेरे को ना गाने अब आजकल ऐसे सुबह ना इतना हिट नहीं देते, तो मेरे को मजा नहीं आ रहा था. So I started listening to the Lex Friedman podcast. And मेरा ये है कि अब 40 मिनट मैंने मतलब इंफॉर्मेशन भी ले ली from the best person out there, right? So suddenly I have 2 reasons to wake up. एक तो पॉडकास्ट मेरा कंप्लीट हो जाएगा एंड टेनिस इज देयर. सो वो ये कि और रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम आपको खुद इसमें डालने पड़ेंगे.
मैंने एक ट्रिक ढूंढा है. ऑडिबल, मेरा ऑडिबल का सब्सक्रिप्शन है, तो आई वुड स्टार्ट लिसनिंग टू ऑडियो बुक्स व्हाइल साइक्लिंग. सो हफ्ते में like 2 or 3 days I would take my cycle, start my audiobook. I would run it at a slightly higher speed, so 1.25 1.4x speed पे. And I would cycle. I would cycle for around 1 hour, 1.5 hours. 2 या 3 सेशन साइकिलिंग में एक बुक खत्म हो जाता है. And that's insane because आपका number of books.
कितने किलोमीटर साइकिलिंग like on an average?
I would cycle around 20 kilometers.
Wow.
So I have discovered a few tracks around the house, like in my area.
Mumbai for cycling.
Yeah. Like I stay very close to National Park.
Got it.
So there is a Sanjay Gandhi
side.
north side, Borivali area mein. So Sanjay Gandhi National Park, that is a beautiful place to cycle. And I have recently, one of my friends told me there is a Gorai jetty. Okay, so you catch the ferry, you cycle to the ferry, you put the cycle on the ferry, you cross to the other side, and suddenly you're out of Bombay. In 15 minutes, you're out of Bombay, and us side pe there is nothing, no traffic, nothing. You are like basically
Mud
cycling.
Island ke jaise.
Yes, exactly. Us side mein. So now you are cycling around Uttan and Manor. So you're cycling near the beach, and
Very
it's
nice.
mind blowing. And you're listening to an audiobook. So you have to find these reward mechanisms that make you feel like you're doing something very cool. You have to talk about it. Like, why do you think I'm talking about it right now with you?
लोग पागल हो गए मैं जितना टेनिस करता हूं, but I know it's like positive reinforcement also, right?
Exactly. Like you are doing a trick to make yourself healthier.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
तो जितना तुम proudly बात करोगे उसके बारे में, the more likely it is that you will continue doing it. Because now your identities become like vaibhav the tennis player.
Right.
Like अभी छोड़ना बुरा लगेगा. कितना बोल दिया, लोग क्या कहेंगे?
सही बात है, बिल्कुल सही बात.
Why not, right? Like use that motivation for your own benefit.
ये मेरे को एक वैन गॉग का कोट की याद दिला रहा है, अभी नील स्ट्रॉस ने डाला था कि अगर आपका माइंड आपको बोल रहा है कि you can't paint, just go and paint and your mind will shut up, right? कि अगर वो बोल रहे हैं कि अगर आप पेंटर नहीं हो, पेंटिंग नहीं होगी, एक बार कर लो. वो आइडेंटिटी फॉर्मेशन वाली चीज ही है.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people say that everyone should do at least one stand-up comedy set in their lives.
I have done.
Yeah, you've done that. Brilliant. Yeah, you should just do
No,
it. Like
total two laughters, dead silence otherwise.
perfect. Yeah, go for it. Like you have to just do that. Just get up on stage, bomb, come back, and then see how where your life takes you. But that fear of public speaking should just be shot, tum log ko just face it, get it over with, and then go on.
How much has streaming and YouTube helped you in that ways compared to your personality pre-COVID and now?
Interesting question. So I mentioned that I used to write poetry. I have always enjoyed sharing poems. So even before the pandemic, I used to publicly perform poetry. So because of that, I have been somebody comfortable on stage.
Fair enough.
Right. So my poems always have like a little bit of a humorous side. So I know where to pause to get a laugh. I like that response. I like that feedback. So I've kind of taken that also into streaming, but streaming has been huge, like huge. Learning how to deal with a live audience that is constantly talking to you. Have you guys done streaming on Chalchitra?
I have 1100 videos on Chalchitra, 300 से ज़्यादा streams होंगे. So I'll tell you how I started doing it. It's a great like origin story. So मेरे को चलचित्र पे स्ट्रीमिंग चालू करनी थी. मेरे पास पुराना मैकबुक था, तो वो ऐसा था कि फटने की हालत में था, इतना हीट अप हो जाता था. सो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने इंस्टा पे रात को 3 बजे स्ट्रीम करना चालू किया जब सब सोते थे, कि 2-3 लोग भी आ जाए. राइट. एंड इट वाज द टाइम जब मैं टेक्नो म्यूजिक बनाना सीख रहा था गैराजबैंड में. तो मैं वहां पे आके कुछ बीट्स बनाता था. तो मेरे जो 2-3 फैंस है टोटल वो आ जाते थे हर बार. कट टू फिर मैंने मेरे पर्सनल चैनल पे रोज रात को स्ट्रीम किया. मेरा एक फ्रेंड है तैयब, किसी दिन हम सारे साथ में स्ट्रीम करेंगे बिकॉज ही इज डीपली इनटू साइंस, वन ऑफ माय क्लोजेस्ट फ्रेंड्स. सो तैयब और मैं साइंस के स्ट्रीम्स करते थे मेरे पर्सनल चैनल पे, चलचित्र पे. हाँ, यूट्यूब पे. अब मैं यूट्यूब पे आ गया था, बट आई स्टिल डिडंट कम टू स्ट्रीमिंग fully on चलचित्र. राइट. Then Vani and I started a book club on चलचित्र, जहाँ पे हम आके किताब पढ़ते थे, कोई शॉर्ट स्टोरी पढ़ते थे और उसको डिस्कस करते थे. But when I was doing this on चलचित्र, on my channel, I was streaming almost every day. फिर मैंने OBS सीखा, फिर मैंने कैमो के बारे में पता किया, फिर ये सीखा कैसे करते हैं.
सेकंड स्क्रीन कब खरीदा? That's the
very good question. I bought the second stream ये कौन से अराउंड a year back I would say, है ना. 1 साल से शायद ज्यादा हो, 1.5 साल पहले आई थिंक. yes
because that's the real leap, right? That's the leap.
Game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it changes you, man. Like क्योंकि basically it's like live streaming is playing game on hard mode. Like अगर medium mode पे है तो वो hard mode पे है guest episodes, right? Correct. मैंने COVID relief stream किया था जहाँ पे मैं बॉलीवुड से बहुत सारे गेस्ट लाया था. रत्ना पाठक शाह मैम आई थी और बहुत सारे एक्टर्स. तो सुबह से शाम 10 सेशन थे. पॉडकास्टिंग का जिसमें अमित वर्मा, वरुण दुग्गिराला, फिर उसका पोइट्री का जिसमें याया था, एंड लाइक देवर इरफान सर. देन एक्टर्स राउंड टेबल, राइटर्स राउंड टेबल. उस दिन के बाद आई लाइक मैं ऐसे हो गया कि मतलब कि अब आ गया ये गेम. राइट. And Vani and I still stream every Friday, and we have been doing it for last 2 years. It's called VM Square Stream. Dude, streaming is beautiful because आप देख ही रहे होंगे जैसे हम दोनों आई थिंक काफी ऑथेंटिकली बात कर रहे हैं विदाउट एनी ऐसे ना कोई ऐसी लेयर नहीं है, कुछ ऐसा प्रूफ करने को नहीं है. व्हेन यू क्रैक दैट ना, इट्स टू मच फन, एंड दैट इज व्हाई पीपल आल्सो कम बैक.
Yeah, I really love it because it's connecting to so many people in real time. In no other situation in life do you do that ever. Like if you think about it, when can you connect with 1,000 people, 1,500 people at the same time? Even if you are doing a live audience, right? You are still on stage and nobody else has a mic. It's not the same. Here, you're on stage, but everyone has a keyboard. Everyone has a voice. It's the ultimate democracy. It's the ultimate level of conversation. I don't think in the history of human, like in the history of mankind, ये social experiment कभी हुआ नहीं है of live streaming.
Proper setup में अब लोग बहुत podcast कर रहे हैं, but I do it live because मैं अब उसकी ट्रेनिंग कर रहा हूँ जैसे जो रोगन करता है. मैं उसने इलॉन मस्क वाला किया था, वो लाइव था. तो 3 DSLRs पे आप लाइक बटन दबा के कैसे जैसे न्यूज चैनल्स पे होता है.
Yeah.
So this is
keep switching
live. This is the next game I want to play. I'm very excited about it. मैं बॉम्बे आऊंगा तो करेंगे बैठ के साथ में.
That would be insane. So are you planning to make this a portable setup?
अरे डूड, मैं बताऊंगा आप पागल हो जाओगे. मैंने 4 दिन पहले क्रैक किया कैसे करते हैं. Okay, very self-indulgent, but let's go. You just need
Yeah,
OBS on your computer.
correct.
And you need Camo, right? So Camo
Yeah.
converts like your phone into an iPhone. तो मान लो
Yeah.
मेरे पास एक DSLR है, ठीक है, एक मेरा iPhone हो गया, ठीक है,
Yeah.
या कोई भी फोन, क्योंकि Camo आज के डेट में किसी भी फोन को उसमें कन्वर्ट कर देता है. सो और ना हॉटकीज होती है OBS पे.
Yes.
तो मैंने कर दिया कि वीडियो के लिए तो सिंपल है कि मैंने कर दिया कि one is Lumix, my this
Yeah.
GH5, 2 is iPhone. एक प्रोड्यूसर बैठा हुआ है इसके लिए मेरी टीम
Correct.
से, जैसा लाइक अभी बैकएंड पे है, ठीक है.
Yeah.
सो ही विल प्रेस 1 व्हेन यू आर स्पीकिंग, देन 2 व्हेन आई एम स्पीकिंग. ये तो बेसिक हो गया, बट इट गेट्स इंटरेस्टिंग. ऑडियो में क्या कर रहे हो, तो ऑडियो स्विचिंग भी आपको इंटरेस्टिंग करनी है. सो यू नीड 2 सेपरेट माइक्स फॉर इट, बट यू कैन गिव वन सेम हॉटकी टू लाइक बोथ थिंग्स. कि जैसे मैं वन दबाऊं ल्यूमिक्स चालू हो जाए और दूसरा माइक बंद हो जाए और ये वाला माइक चालू हो जाए.
Brilliant.
देन थर्ड इज होल्ड फॉर लाइक फोर्स्ड व्यू. तो मान लो कि अब एकदम से हम दोनों साथ में बोल रहे हैं, तो एक मान लो मैंने तीसरा गोप्रो लगा दिया, तो मैं अगर 3 दबाऊंगा तो सडनली हमारे दोनों के माइक्स ऑन कर देगा और दोनों के कैमरा ऑन कर देगा.
Wow. So your producer has to be very, very on point.
वेरी. ये मैं पूरी टीम की वर्कशॉप कराने वाला हूँ, राइट. लाइक मैं लाइक की, और ये जूम पे भी पॉसिबल है. जैसे अगर मैं अभी यहाँ पे स्पीकर मोड में चले जाऊँ, जो ये खुद करके देता है, राइट.
Correct.
तो स्पीकर में अब आप बोलोगे तो आप आ गए. आपकी स्क्रीन पे भी हो रहा है ये?
नहीं, मेरे स्क्रीन में नहीं हो रहा है.
हाँ, बट यू नो व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट.
Absolutely. और you don't even need to do speaker. अगर आप OBS से स्ट्रीम कर रहे हो तो आप सिर्फ क्रॉप करके एक का अलग अलग स्क्रीन बना सकते हो and expand that.
Exactly.
Right. So you don't even need to do that. Zoom पे नहीं करने की जरूरत है. OBS पे आप सिर्फ उसको क्रॉप करके एक का चेहरा दिखा सकते हो.
राइट. मेरे को है कि यार इस डायमंड बॉम्बे मेरे को कुछ नहीं, मेरे को लैपटॉप लाना है और मेरे को बस मेरे बैग में पूरा सेटअप है.
सुपर.
और इसके लिए कंसिस्टेंसी के लिए दोनों मैं पीछे काले पर्दे लगा दूं. मेरे को कंसिस्टेंसी बड़ी बहुत पसंद है, क्योंकि कुछ लगा दिया लाइक यू आर कैरिंग समथिंग वेयर लाइक देयर इज कंसिस्टेंसी. जो मैं जयपुर में कर रहा हूँ या आपके कर रहा हूँ, लगेगा कि वैभव के सेटअप में
सेम ही जगह पे हो रहा है. या आई हैव नोटिस्ड दिस. There is a streamer called Saikuno. He's very big. He streams games. So he has this kind of like a wide क्या बोलते हैं इसको, like Chinese curtain, you know, वो जो expandable boards होते हैं ना, जो crisscross होके बंद हो सकता है. So he carries that everywhere. तो जहां पे भी स्ट्रीम करता है वो पीछे वो लगा देता है, and that has become like his standard.
आपने बिटवीन टू फर्न्स देखा है?
करेक्ट.
तो उसमें एक एपिसोड में ओबामा आता है, ओबामा फिर रेड बटन दबाता है, काला पर्दा हटता है और दिखता है ये तो व्हाइट हाउस में हो रहा है. एंड ओबामा उसको बोलता है you had been doing all your episodes here, and he's like yes, and then Obama asks who gave you permission, and he's like Bush.
That's hilarious, man. I think Adam Case directed that, right? Between Two Ferns, if I'm not mistaken.
Adam McKay,
yeah.
Will Ferrell is involved in, I think, Between Two Ferns. Will Ferrell and Adam McKay एक टाइम पे बहुत क्लोजली काम करते थे, बट अब नहीं करते.
Okay, but I think उन्होंने कुछ जॉइंट वेंचर करके शुरू किया था, if I'm not mistaken.
But I don't think it's Between Two Ferns. But हाँ, उन्होंने साथ में काफी कुछ किया है. Adam McKay is one of my favorite filmmakers. Succession. Amazing. And all those.
Don't Look Up, dude. I love that movie. Yeah, even Big Short is insane. Anchorman. Right. Crazy. So I have very recently started getting into music. Not production, but so like I said, I write poetry, and from there I've started writing little rap songs and giving music to it. So I have been brought up in a musical household. My mom is a Carnatic music teacher, so I'm very interested in kind of giving music to my own lyrics. But in today's time, it's not enough to just know about that. Like you kind of need to have some technical knowledge about recording software and all that. So I've just started learning about GarageBand and logicpro. And it's been such a like wild ride. I can't believe that we have the technology to basically create professional level songs sitting in your room with just a laptop.
मैं क्या बोलूं इसमें, this is too close to my heart, this topic. गराज बैंड, फोन का जो गराज बैंड है वो लैपटॉप के गराज बैंड से बेटर है. लाइक जो फोन पे जो आपको स्पेशलिटीज मिलती है ना. So I was doing an episode last week with Nuclear. और न्यूक्लियर को मैंने बताया पूरा कि मैंने उनको मेरा स्टेज नेम बताया, मैंने कहा पूरी दुनिया ने मना कर दिया था वैसे, मेरा स्टेज नेम है मिष्ठान भंडार। तो मैंने ऐसे 3 गाने बनाए, किशमिश, शहद और पंजीरी। तो वो तो पागल हो गए, बोले ब्रो कीप एट इट, फूल वूल गिराओ, सब कुर्ते पहन के आएंगे तुम्हारे उसमें। मैंने कहा बट होल वर्ल्ड लाफ्ड एट इट, बट ही इज लाइक नो मिष्ठान भंडार ऐसे। बट आर यू इनटू इलेक्ट्रॉनिक म्यूजिक?
I am. I've listened to Garrix quite a bit.
Okay, Martin Garrix.
Yeah. कॉलेज के बाद उतना नहीं था, मतलब वो एक फेज था ऑनेस्टली, उसके बाद उतना फॉलो नहीं किया।
तो अपन किसी दिन बैठेंगे ना, I'll take you deep into the black hole of electronic music, क्योंकि जो ये है ना डेविड गेटा, मार्टिन गैरिक्स, ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डांस म्यूजिक है।
Correct.
मेरे को जो पसंद है ना वो है नॉन मेलोडिक म्यूजिक। आप ना इंडस्ट्रियल साउंड्स के साथ कुछ कर रहे हो, you can do this thing, I think you'll really like it. I read more music reviews, song reviews than movie reviews.
Wow.
Right. Pitchfork पे they put out like these reviews, and एक आर्टिस्ट है, बंदा है वो खुद भी म्यूजिक बनाता है, फिलिप शर्बर्न। यार वो म्यूजिक को विजुअली जैसे एक्सप्लेन करता है ना, आई हैव नेवर सीन इट, और वो भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक म्यूजिक को।
Like how? Give me an example.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, of course.
तो एक बंदा एंडी स्टॉट है ना, अब ये ना टेक्नो म्यूजिक करता है। कैन यू सी माय स्क्रीन? अब ना आई हमारी एल्बम लग्जरी प्रॉब्लम्स, हम इसका रिव्यू देखते हैं। सो ही हैज गिवन इट 8.7।
ओके,
राइट। अब गानों पे देखो, इफ numb is at her most spectral, Hatch the Plan finds us sounding more grounded, almost in the mode of a singer-songwriter. The choral-like layering on Plan brings to mind School of Seven Bells, but it's the longest track of the record and it's purely instrumental. बहुत ही ज्यादा मतलब मेटाफर्स जो आप देखते हो ना इनमें, ओ यस दिस इज द वन, पास्ड बाय मी में ये पढ़ो। वेयर क्लब कल्चर माइथोलॉजी इज अ सर्किट ऑफ एंडलेस नाइट्स एंड आफ्टर पार्टीज, पास्ड बाय मी सजेस्ट फिजिकल एंड स्पिरिचुअल एग्जॉशन, Sisyphus collapsing beneath the dead-eyed twinkle of the disco ball.
Wow, this is poetry, dude. Like, this is poetry. You can see it. You can just see it, like Sisyphus, and the disco ball is dying and it's out. Oh my god, insane.
So मैंने इस बंदे को बुकमार्क किया हुआ है, फिलिप शेबर्न के रिव्यूज, और एंडी स्टॉट मेरे फेवरेट टेक्नो आर्टिस्ट है। ये नो इनका बीट्स वगैरह से मन उठ गया। ये लोग जैसे स्नेहा खनवालकर का ना एमटीवी पे एक शो आता था साउंड ट्रिपिंग, आपने देखा है? जो स्नेहा खनवालकर ने ओए लक्की लक्की ओए का भी म्यूजिक दिया है, और उनका एक गाना था टुंग टुंग बजे टुंग टुंग, तो ना वो अलग अलग जगह जाके ना इंस्ट्रूमेंट से आवाजें, हाँ
like she uses xylophones and stuff in that.
Yeah. तो मेरे को बड़ा मजा आता है कि आप अलग अलग नॉइजेस को के साथ म्यूजिक बनाते हो। एंड मेरा ये मानना है म्यूजिक ऑलवेज डजंट नीड टू बी मेलोडिक, इट डजंट नीड टू हैव लिरिक्स। अब सिगुर रॉस इज अ बैंड आई रियली लाइक।
ओके,
वो होपलैंडिक लैंग्वेज में गाने बनाते हैं। होपलैंडिक लैंग्वेज डजंट एग्जिस्ट, इट्स अ लैंग्वेज दे क्रिएटेड फॉर देयर ओन म्यूजिक। आज तक हमने सिर्फ डोथराकी के बारे में सुना था गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स में, बट म्यूजिशियंस भी ये कर रहे हैं।
अमेजिंग होपलैंडिक, व्हाट अ वर्ड।
हाँ, इट्स एन आइसलैंडिक बैंड। इनके आधे गाने आइसलैंडिक में, आधे होपलैंडिक में, देयर ओन लैंग्वेज।
Crazy. So the idea of music being something that patterns that you can decode, it's a very subjective thing because your brain can actually decode patterns in any way. What they are saying and what you are interpreting could be very different things, and that is okay. Like for art, it's not essential that tu wahi samjhe jo main kehna chahta hu. Like you can just interpret it in your own way. So Hopelandic mein, I'm guessing it could be something like that. I want to listen to it now.
कल वेदांत रस्टी के साथ I was doing an episode. Do you know there is a feature in Zoom called share audio? Just audio. तो आप सिर्फ ऑडियो शेयर कर सकते हो and you don't need to like share the video. तो मैं उनको कुछ गाने सुना रहा हूँ और हम दोनों बैठ के ऐसे ट्रिप कर रहे हैं उसपे। क्योंकि वीडियो में फिर वो स्क्रीन, तो शेयर ऑडियो पे like I have done some events जहाँ पे स्टार्टिंग में ना थोड़ा ऐसे इंस्ट्रूमेंटल सा म्यूजिक बज रहा है. It's a great feature, dude. You should use it.
I will. So when you're streaming on YouTube, how do you circumvent like copyright stuff and all that? I
have like so many dummy YouTube channels जहाँ पे मैंने I've tried and tested things कि जो गाने में, और मेरे को एक तो ऐसे आवाज ही ऐसी पसंद है गानों में, YouTube को मतलब ही नहीं उससे। YouTube को अभी एंडी स्टॉट इज अ गाय ओनली लाइक ऐसे 1% ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक म्यूजिक ऑडियंस विल लिसन टू। यूट्यूब को उससे मतलब नहीं है, राइट? सो वो और मैंने कभी वो रिएक्शन वीडियोस वगैरह बनाए नहीं है चैनल पे, तो मेरे को नहीं पता। मैंने मनी वॉल पे एक बार एक स्ट्रीम किया था, तो मेरे स्ट्रीम के बीच में आ गया कि यूट्यूब नोटिस कर रहा है कि आप कुछ प्ले करो, मैं डर गया। उसके बाद लाइक कभी किया नहीं मैंने रिएक्शन वीडियोस में, इतना नहीं किया। माय स्ट्रीम्स आर लाइक पीपल टॉकिंग टू ईच अदर, एंड कभी कभी रेडिट पे कुछ चीजें हमने जो पहले से सीख,
which is fine. Like in general, YouTube doesn't care if you're too unorthodox, you know.
yeah.
अगर उतना by the side है तो भाई तू कर ले, तू जी ले तुम्हारी जिंदगी, इट्स ओके,
तू जी ले। हाँ स्ट्रीमिंग में ये सारी चीजों में मजा आता है। एंड लाइक आप पढ़ना म्यूजिक, बिकॉज आप न्यूरोलॉजी के पर्सपेक्टिव से भी देखोगे ना, म्यूजिक मूवी रिव्यूज आर सो बोरिंग। आई सॉ विजुअल, तूने उसको एक्सप्लेन कर दिया,
right.
मैं म्यूजिक की विजुअलाइजेशन अब देख रहा हूँ लोगों के वर्ड्स के थ्रू।
Correct. I have done this entire video series on neuroscience of music, and it's like ever since I've done that, मेरा पूरा opinion ही change हुआ है म्यूजिक पे। हम लोग को इतना प्लेजर क्यों मिलता है? वो EDM का बीट जब ड्रॉप होता है तो why do we go crazy? It's literally playing with your dopamine levels. It's literally playing with all your neurotransmitters. कि वो से बढ़ाते जाओ और वो एंटिसिपेशन इतना ज्यादा होता है ना कि अब ड्रॉप होगा, and then when it drops, people literally have like mental orgasms.
Eargasm बोलते हैं ना उसको,
eargasm. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other extreme of that is earworms. जब तुम्हारा एक गाना बैठ जाता है दिमाग में और पूरा दिन रहता ही है।
Have you seen Inside Out?
I have.
माइंड के हिसाब से कितनी क्रेजी फिल्म है ना वो।
बहुत ही, मतलब they have made such complex concepts very very simple.
उसमें उसका भी कॉन्सेप्ट है कि जब एक गाना आपके दिमाग में रह जाता है तो एक पर से क्रिस्टल बॉल गिर रही है कि हम करते रहते हैं। Oh dude.
I read a paper on how some patients with Alzheimer's they have lost their memory, उनको याद नहीं रहता, but they can still remember music and lyrics. They can still remember tunes. So there was an entire study on how if you teach Alzheimer's patients their phone number in song, they can remember it. So they teach them their children's names in songs, their address in song, so that if they get lost, they can just sing. And it's crazy because तुम्हारे brain का musical networks are completely different, independent from your normal memory networks. तो ये सब बहुत कितने levels में हमारे identity पे बात हो रही है।
Can I ask you a very stupid question? It's a थोड़ा like इससे medical related.
Go for it.
Alzheimer's और schizophrenia में क्या difference होता है?
Schizophrenia is split mind. तो that is basically when हमारा खुद का identity split हो जाता है and we are unable to connect reality together as one coherent piece. Like हम लोग को लगता है कि you are one person, right? And your reality में कोई breaks नहीं है. But in schizophrenia, you are unable to piece your whole reality together. And so very often you might have a split personality also. Like in different situations, you are a different person. You might have hallucinations. So you will add things that are not there in order for reality to make sense. Or you may take things away. You might ignore the existence of something because you are unable to face reality in the way it is.
And Alzheimer's is memory loss वाला जो पूरा.
Correct. Alzheimer's is dementia. It is a type of dementia.
हाँ, sorry. Oh fuck. I wanted to know. मैं confuse हो गया. मेरे को dementia और Alzheimer's में समझना था.
हाँ, तो dementia is like memory loss and Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. It is the most common type of dementia. Schizophrenia पूरी अलग है, मतलब it is a very different thing.
Can I recommend you a documentary? ये मैंने वरुण ग्रोवर की इंस्टा स्टोरी के थ्रू देखी थी and I saw it and इस पे राहुल देसाई का बहुत अच्छा रिव्यू है. Netflix पे एक documentary called Dick Johnson is Dead. It's about a daughter जिनके पापा को एल्जाइमर्स है और धीरे धीरे एल्जाइमर्स की स्टेजेस आ रही है. वो मेमोरी लॉस चालू हुई हुआ है and the daughter is a filmmaker, so she starts filming her dad like through the whole process. बट कभी भी इसको नेगेटिव वे में नहीं दिखा. इट्स लाइक अ गिफ्ट, लाइक जो वो पापा के लिए कर रही है, तो अलग अलग इवेंट्स को स्टेज करते हैं लाइक फॉर द फादर. इट्स सो इमोशनल. देयर इज अ सीन वेयर द फ्यूनरल ऑफ द गाय इज हैपनिंग, वेयर द गाय इज अलाइव. तो पूरे फ्यूनरल हो गया, सब रो दिए एंड द गाय लास्ट में आता है और उसके लिए तालियां बजती है बिकॉज वो अपने पापा की प्री अल्जाइमर्स मेमोरी प्रिजर्व करके रखना चाहती है.
Insane.
It's crazy, dude.
Insane. I saw a documentary called Robin's Wish, which is on the life and death of Robin Williams. So when he died by suicide, people initially it was thought that he was suffering from depression. But later on, we found out that he was actually suffering from a disease called Lewy body dementia, which is a type of Parkinson's disease, but much more serious. उसमें you can have like a gradual loss of cognition. हम लोग का सोचना change होता है, हमारा personality change होता है, hallucinations होता है. So it's a very terrible disease. He basically took that step while he was suffering from that. So the whole documentary is about raising awareness of Lewy body dementia, about reaching out to other people who are suffering from it. Very touching, very well made, and like anybody who's seen Robin Williams should watch that movie.
जैसे हमने डिमेंशिया की बात की, अल्जाइमर्स की बात की, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज पार्किंसंस?
पार्किंसन में आपका डोपामिन नेटवर्क्स खराब होते हैं, so your brain is unable to process dopamine or use dopamine in the correct way, and that has many effects. The most prominent of which is that आपका movement खराब होता है. So now you are unable to move as freely as you were. So you become very stiff, you become like a robot. You are walking like very slowly, your hands and legs are very rigid, you start having tremor in your hands. So all those things are the visible things, but the invisible things are even worse. Like you may lack motivation, you may lack focus, your stomach gets upset, or because your whole body utilizes dopamine. So dopamine जब खराब होता है तो everything gets affected.
And is it by any chance linked to dopamine imbalance which our generation is facing because of high amounts of dopamine, or because of social media and other addictions that we have, which can, because I read it somewhere and I might be wrong, it can eventually lead to Parkinson's because of the dopamine balance जो बढ़ता है इसके?
No. So as of now, there is no proof that this thing can lead to Parkinson's. It will lead to other problems. Most important of which is, I think, mental health issues. We will have adjustment problems with reality, with validation. We are constantly seeking validation to a point where agar nahi mila to it goes to the other extreme. But the thing is that most of these things, the proof comes very late. Like by the time we have conclusively proven that this leads to this, a lot of people would have already suffered from it. Kind of like cigarettes, dude. There were so many decades where cigarettes were sold and it was sold as healthy. There were ads of doctors smoking and so much. Today, we look at it like, of course, cigarettes are unhealthy. Even smokers know that cigarettes are unhealthy. Nobody is arguing that anymore. So it's possible that social media could end up like that. But we'll have to see.
Got it. Documentaries में, like, which are the other documentaries जो आपने in the space of health जो देखी होगी, which like you found very fascinating?
Don't Look Up is kind of like a fictional documentary. I really loved the way that it was portrayed. It's not just about climate change, right? It applies to our like society's way of denial, like mass denial of any approaching problem. And it was so well shot. I saw that documentary on Donald Trump's victory. I forgot its name, the one with Cambridge Analytica. It was on Netflix about data leaks and how Facebook has more than 200 or 250 data points on literally everybody. Like you don't have that many data points on your mom or your dad.
ये social dilemma से पहले आई थी, I think.
Before social dilemma.
And it is much better than social dilemma.
Yeah, I saw social dilemma.
मेरे को इतनी basic लगी थी यार.
Correct. It was
the great hack.
Yes, thank you. I enjoyed that. I think that was also an important discussion to have. Social dilemma, honestly, मुझे थोड़ा dramatic लगा. Like things that we already know, they were just making it bigger. But Great Hack, I kind of liked. What are documentaries that you would really recommend?
There's this documentary on YouTube called hypernormalization. So it shows कि एक टाइम के बाद जब आप एक्सट्रीम्स को नॉर्मलाइज कर देते हो तो आपको फर्क करना कैसे पड़ना बंद हो जाता है. तो ट्रम्प के बारे में बात की है, सऊदी के बारे में बात की है, हर चीज के बारे में कि आज के डेट में जो हम न्यूज में देखते हैं हाइपर नॉर्मलाइजेशन की वजह से वी आर लाइक, हाँ कि मतलब हम वो, मेरे को पता है दुनिया में सबसे स्केरी चीज क्या लगती है, जब हम किसी की RIP पोस्ट डालते हैं ना, और कि किसी की डेथ होती है और उसकी अगली स्टोरी में हम लाइक मैक्रोनी खा रहे हैं। मैं कह रहा हूँ कि यार इतना तो कर लो कि अगर कोई किसी की डेथ के बारे में डाल रहे हो तो स्टोरीज मत डालो।
Correct. Absolutely.
दिस इज हाइपर नॉर्मलाइजेशन ओनली ना।
Brilliant topic, because everything is contextual. Even mourning is contextual. So there is a reason why earlier when there was a death, there was 13 days of mourning, and uske aage piche, like there were so many functions, because you have to create that context, right? तो हाँ कोई मर गया, चलो पिज्जा खाते हैं, तो that means that you are at some level saying that हाँ ठीक है, you're trivializing that death. I love that point of stories, because it's almost like a job. तुमने काम खत्म करने के लिए RIP डाल दिया, and then you move on to the next thing.
I did a stream during the peak of COVID क्योंकि मैं IPL देखता था, and I did a stream. Is it okay to watch IPL when this is at the peak? क्योंकि मेरे को लगा यार मैं तो देख रहा हूँ यार, मैं और क्या करूँ? Can I allow myself to watch IPL when people are dying around me?
Have you watched Bo Burnham's Inside?
Yes.
That is such an insightful show, man. He has this line, right? I can't believe you're joking at a time like this.
Yeah.
So he's insightful enough to know that he's releasing a comedy special at a time when the whole world is going through like a panic attack or depression. And he talks about his own anxiety and his own mental health. It was an insane show, insane production. I was blown away by how brilliant he is. उन्होंने अभी भी कुछ उसका रिलीज किया ना, like the BTS. Outtakes. Yeah. Behind the scenes. And that had so much good stuff. This is stuff that he said it's not good enough to be on the main show. And that had so much good stuff. There was a song called 5 Years, which talks about his relationship with his wife. Oh my God, it was so good. I genuinely feel like that is the role that stand-up comedians have in society. To navigate that very, very thin line of language. Yeah. Like literally, there are things that you can say, which everybody knows. There are things that you can't say, which everybody knows. Now, there are some people who will say the things that you can't say and just offend people. But stand-up comedians have that role of navigating that outermost edge of how can you say the things that you can't say to make it seem like you can say this. Like it is razor thin. Of course, they're going to screw up. Of course, they're going to fuck up. Right? But then if they don't do it, who will? Because otherwise, the only way to say those things are by directly offending people. And then how do we set the boundary between what can be said and what can't be said? True. Who is going to venture out if not stand-up comics? Do you have any favorite stand-up comedians? Oh, so many, man. I mean, Norm Macdonald, right? I saw a stand-up that he recorded from home. Netflix पे जो आ रहा है. So good. So good. Like he's an absolute natural. George Carlin, of course, like I've seen all of his work. Bo Burnham, though, I have been following since his first special. What? That was his first special on Netflix. Okay. What? And then he had another one called Make Happy. And then this is the third one, Inside. I love stand-up comedy. Even in India, like I think it's very interesting how stand-up comedy has evolved in India. Like starting off with laughter challenge. Like single line punchlines, just straight up one-liners. And then the whole AIB thing happened, and I feel like it completely changed the comedy scene in India. Yeah. The roast was premature. I think India wasn't really ready for it. Still, like so good in terms of just comedy, right? Like if you remove all the moral ethics, everything, just in terms of pure comedy, insanely brilliant. At par with all the classical roasts that happen around the world. I recently attended the Veer Das tour, Wanted. Very interesting again, like his brand of comedy is so much more polished, so much. It's like South Bombay comedy. South Bombay comedy. Very different. So very interesting. I love going for stand-up comedy. And are you into sci-fi? Quite a bit. Although in the last 2 years, I haven't really explored too much. But there was a time when like I've seen all the Star Wars, all the Star Trek. Which ones are you following?
मैं दोनों के बारे में बात करना चाहता हूँ आपसे, बुक्स एंड मूवीज एंड साइफाई इज बेसिकली मेरा सबसे ज्यादा बड़ा इन पॉइंट इनटू द वर्ल्ड ऑफ बुक्स, आई वुड से books, because
really?
Ray Bradbury is someone I really like. I finished reading Three Body Problem series.
I love that. I'm on book 2.
Oh, you're on Dark Forest.
Yeah.
How much of it have you read?
2 chapters in.
Okay, just be patient. मैं बता रहा हूँ, just be patient. It will take you a while to get into. I remember Rohan Joshi had recommended like Dark Forest, और जैसे कहता मुझे, I messaged him, thank you. Because Dark Forest, by the end of it, you will message me, let's do a stream on it. Let's say Three Body Problem, the book was 9. Yeah. Dark Forest is 11. Wow. And Deaths and the third part is 10.5. Yeah.
Wow.
So Dark Forest is the best.
Okay. But it's a slow burner.
It's a slow burner. It will be like, is Vaibhav even like good at this? Kya ho raha? You'll have doubts about it, but मतलब जो thoughts की जो बातें हो रही हैं. Yeah. And इसमें आपको पता है ना, show बन रहा है Netflix का.
Yeah. Correct.
Do you know who is making it?
No.
The Game of Thrones creators.
Oh, of course. Now I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, I'm very scared. Very scared. Three body mein pura Game of
Thrones. But the thing that is probably in their favor is that they have all the 3 books.
All this, exactly, and they are good when the
exactly. Good. They just don't know how to make shit up by themselves, but give them stuff and they'll do good.
Yeah, they are good at adapting screenplays. Yeah,
correct. So you must be a big fan of Isaac Asimov.
मैंने इतना उनका नहीं पढ़ा है. See, okay. I'll tell you what kind of you'll find it interesting, क्योंकि इससे पहले हम कुछ diseases की बात कर रहे थे. मैं थोड़ा डर गया था कि जैसे आप स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया की बात बता रहे थे कि वो कुछ चीजों को हटा देते हैं. So मैं ना ऐसे होता है कि anything which insults my soul, I don't consider it. मैं जैसे बहुत बार मैंने नसीरुद्दीन सर के साथ एक एपिसोड किया था, उनसे सवाल पूछा था. मेरे को जो भी चीज पसंद नहीं आ रही होती ना बुक में, मैं चेंज कर देता हूँ. अगर ऑथर ने लिखा है डे है, पर मेरे को नाइट इमेजिन करनी है, तो मैं नाइट इमेजिन कर लेता हूँ. I do this a lot because I'm like, give me a blueprint, I'll take care of everything else. Right. Have you ever done it that like they have spoken about a character in a certain way, और उसके बारे में एक नया add-on वो आपको 50वें पेज के बाद दे रहे हैं, but you imagined it in a certain way, so then you don't incorporate it कि नहीं, मेरे को नहीं करना. Correct.
ये हैरी पॉटर के साथ बहुत हुआ है. You've read the books 3-4 times, you've imagined characters, imagined faces, and when the movie comes up, it's not like how you imagined it. So fuck it. Like, the movie is wrong. You are right.
I'm very unapologetic about it in regard to books, where if I like certain kind of ambience, I'll read. And मैं ambience में बहुत करता हूँ. Because I love night, I love cloudy, gloomy weather, I hate sunlight. So I kind of change the visual story according to it. So science fiction से ज़्यादा मेरे को science fantasy पसंद है. Like Ray Bradbury was into it, जहाँ पे आप accuracy of science fiction की चिंता नहीं करते कि is it accurate. तो अगर Martian Chronicles में लोग मार्स पे हैं, मेरे दिमाग में ये नहीं चल रहा कि इन्होंने like ऑक्सीजन का वो नहीं लिखा हुआ. I'm like, हाँ मार्स पे. So मेरे को वैसी चीजें बहुत पसंद है. You give me a setup and don't make me care about like the accuracy of science.
Brilliant. You've seen the series called Dune.
I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book.
Okay. So there is a YouTube channel called Alt Shift X. Very, very cool guy. There's been no face reveal. I don't think anybody knows what he looks like. But releases detailed videos about a lot of these sci-fi or fantasy series. He's got detailed videos on Game of Thrones, Dune, a lot of them. And when I say detailed, he goes into depths that I think only J.R.R. Martin must have gone into. After that, this guy's gone into it. And with a very dry sense of humor. So I absolutely love him. Check it out. So he has done a 1.5 hour analysis of Dune. Everything you need to know about it. Very explained beautifully. So since this is a podcast on recommendations, definitely check out All Shift X.
Very nice. I want to go back to Three Body Problem since you have read it. Aapko kaisi lagi Three Body Problem?
So my wife read it around 2 months before I did. And she was raving about it. You know, she's in this phase where she's gone into sci-fi And now she's gone into state-specific, or rather nation-specific sci-fi. Because earlier, all sci-fi is American sci-fi. You start with that. And then you start to wonder, is this all sci-fi can be?
हर बार अमेरिका ही क्यों आता है बचाने?
Exactly. Like साला aliens हमेशा न्यूयॉर्क में क्यों लैंड होता है? I mean, बाकी के वर्ल्ड में क्या प्रॉब्लम है?
Right.
So now she's into African sci-fi, Chinese sci-fi, Japanese sci-fi. And then the conversation is so different, when the country changes, the nationality changes, the thinking changes. There's Indian sci-fi, there's South Indian, there's Tamil sci-fi, very different. So she told me that this is a series that you have to read. And she kind of, in her enthusiasm, gave me a little bit of what to expect.
Oh, shit.
Now, so what I did was, I didn't open the books for 3 months. All I know now is that these are very interesting series. I kind of know कि चलो कुछ तो अच्छा होने वाला है, but that's it. I loved the book one. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. But I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to trigger all the memories. I just want to finish off the series and then
trigger
do
all
like
the
a live
memories
stream
matlab?
Of what she told me.
Got it.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
And like, has she read Death Forest and Death Sand?
Yeah. She's read all three.
Dark Forest. Okay.
Yeah.
And उसके बारे में भी उन्होंने बता दिया क्या आपको?
नहीं, तो उसने पूरा सीरीज पढ़ लिया.
हाँ.
और overall, she was talking about some things.
अरे यार.
So no, it's not that bad. Like she told me कि बहुत नहीं बहुत ज्यादा नहीं बताया है. But I don't even know what is बहुत ज्यादा and बहुत कम. Actually, I've shifted to the audible version of book 2, but I'm not very sure.
Read,
I would
right?
say
read. क्योंकि ये थोड़ा mental exercises वाली किताब है ना, तो आप मतलब जब हम ऑडिबल सुनते हैं ना तो पैरेलली कोई एक्टिविटी चल रही होती है, राइट? तो कि जैसे मैं ड्राइव कर रहा हूँ या आप साइकिलिंग कर रहे हो, राइट? ये उस टाइप की है कि इट रिक्वायर्स योर लाइक 110% अटेंशन.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
है ना? तो
so I didn't enjoy the audible version as much, so I think I'll go back to the book.
Yeah, go back to the book. ये मेरे पीछे 3 कलर दिख रहे हैं, येलो, ब्लू, ये वही है, 3 बॉडी है.
Correct.
I do this thing. I reward myself for finishing books on Kindle by gifting myself the paperback. So I finished all 3 books on Kindle. Then I gift. ये मतलब कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ा इनमें. मैंने just खुद को gift की.
Lovely.
It's a good way of like rewarding yourself.
I want to get the Sapiens का illustrated version.
श्वेता त्रिपाठी जो एक्टर है, वो आई थी हमारे उस पे, उन्होंने उसकी ग्राफिक नॉवेल रेकमेंड की थी.
Yeah, it's very good. Like I've read the book 3-4 times. I've gifted the book to at least 15 people when it first came out because I was very happy with it. And now I saw that illustrated version in a bookstore recently. I was thinking, but I have to find the right space for it. अभी मेरे लाइफ का सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है कि बुक खरीदने के पहले मुझे डिसाइड करना है कि मैं कहाँ पे रखूंगा. Like I have 4 bookshelves in my house in different rooms. And I have one cupboard where I keep the books where I don't want to keep out. So that's like the back storage. So now I have to select कौन सा 2-3 book ऊपर जाएंगे and ये books कहाँ पे आएंगे.
And I remember before we started the episode when I was telling you about the format, I've got books live here. So do you want to tell us about those?
So these are some books that I'm currently reading. I'm just finishing this one, Man's Search for Meaning. Yeah. I've listened to the audiobook, I think 3 years ago. But honestly, now I'm reading it, I'm understanding it completely differently. I'm taking like a whole neuroscience spin to it about meaning and about evil. I loved what he said about evil, how like the banality of evil. People can be evil without really knowing it. I'm reading this for like the 4th time, Bhagavad Gita. Absolutely love it. I did an entire series on neuroscience of Gita last year. I'll do it again this year. So World Gita Day happens around Christmas time. So December, 3rd week of December mein hota hai. So I'm planning to start this series at the end of September and finish it off on World Gita Day. That's what I did in 2020 also. This is an insanely good book. It's technical. So this is entirely on vision. And the author uses the visual system to explain the whole brain. Explain reality, explain how we are basically creating reality as we go. So reality is a guessing game. हम लोग को 2-3 लाइंस दिखे, 2-3 कलर्स दिखे और हमारा ब्रेन सोचता है कि अच्छा ये कलर और ये लाइन मतलब ये वैभव होगा. Like it's a guessing game. Few small changes can make us guess wrong. Like for example, if you've just broken up and the next 2 weeks, every time you go to a crowded platform, you might think that you've seen your ex-girlfriend somewhere, like if she's on your mind. Because your brain has that pattern, and anything that even closely resembles that pattern, your brain will just fit it.
Oh, dude. Can I add something here? The
Yeah,
Rorschach test in Watchmen.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
तो मैंने कल ही एक मीम देखा था, मैंने मूवी क्लब में शेयर किया था हमारे की, the guy saying, I love Rorschach and I love his mask, but why does the mask have my parents like having a fight over it?
Beautiful. Exactly. Like, so everything is just approximation. We are living in a world of approximations. This is a book that I've been reading for almost 3 months now. I haven't really finished it. Beach mein I just open it up. Honestly, like it started off in a much more impressive way. I think a lot of things we already know. You know, it's like stoicism is something that I feel in the Indian context, we are brought up with. Like Sab Moh Maya hai is essentially stoicism, and we are brought up in that culture. I can understand why for an American or a Western civilization, this could be much more radical.
Fair enough.
What do you mean all these things don't matter? Like our whole worldview of capitalism is that all these things matter. And this is something that I've started reading ever since I've started YouTubing. I feel like every time you create a video, you are trying to tell a story. So how do you create a story? I mean, you can just come online and start telling it, or you can put in some effort behind directing that video. So this is very new. I haven't started this yet. I haven't started applying it yet, but I started thinking about it. Like I want to create a video on regret. I want to create a 9-minute, 10-minute video on regret. Now, how do I start? Like I can start with the dictionary defines regret as whatever, or neuroscience of regret is. But I'm sure there is a better hook. And a skilled director would be able to do that. Like shoot a scene, grab everyone's attention, show regret.
Colin and Samir एक YouTubers का duo है, उनके बारे में सुना?
I have. They take podcasts, right?
Podcast और वो YouTubers के analysis videos बनाते हैं.
MKBHD and Mr. Beast and all I've seen.
हाँ, so Mr. Beast आया था उनके, तो Mr. Beast के साथ जो उनका जो podcast है ना, मैंने मेरी पूरी टीम को भी दिखाया था. उस पे the way he talks about hook points ना, it's very very good. So कि hook points कब आना चाहिए, retention basically. If your video has less than 80% retention, you are doing something wrong, right? So how do you reach there? Or 80% is a very huge number,
very high number
for a 7 to 8 minute video. तो वो कहता है कि पैरेलल नैरेटिव्स होने चाहिए स्टोरी पे. सो आई हैव अ बुक रिकमेंडेशन फॉर यू. मेरे को ऐसे, क्योंकि आई एम अगेन फिल्म मेकिंग बैकग्राउंड, तो एक डैरेन आरोनॉफ्स्की फिल्म मेकर है, वो एक बुक रिकमेंड करते हैं कॉल्ड हीरोज जर्नी.
Okay.
It talks about biggest fundamentals of like a story. Hero journey क्या होती है, like क्या क्या transitions आते हैं. और आप हीरोज जर्नी अगर पढ़ लोगे और आपको हीरोज जर्नी के बारे में पता है, अगर आप इसकी समरी भी देख लोगे, तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा. सो आपको पता है स्क्रिप्ट होती है मोस्टली 120 पेजेस की जैसे अगर होती है, तो पहले से ही पता होता है स्टूडियोज को 25वें पेज पे हुक पॉइंट है, अगर वो टर्निंग पॉइंट बोलते हैं 75th पेज पे किसी की डेथ होती है. ये सब पहले से ही डिसाइडेड होता है स्क्रिप्ट. 80 to 90% स्क्रिप्ट्स में.
I'm just writing it down.
And it changes. तो मतलब जब स्टूडियो स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ रहे थे और उनको है कि अभी तक नहीं हुआ, तो वो स्क्रिप्ट साइड में रख देंगे कि यार तुम्हें फंडामेंटली नहीं पता कि इस पेज पे तो कोई मरना चाहिए था, हमारा क्यों नहीं, 25th पेज आ गया, ये नहीं हुआ. एक मोमेंट आता है when the hero loses it all. सारी चीजें, बीवी चली गई, पैसा चला गया, फिर उसका जो कमबैक होता है, सब वही कर रहे हैं जो आई थिंक एरिस्टोटल की जो पोएटिक्स के रूल्स है ना. एवरीथिंग इज दैट.
Brilliant, dude. Brilliant. Have you seen this YouTube channel called ContraPoints?
I have heard of it. Yes, I might have seen it. एकदम से नहीं कर रहा, but I'm pretty much sure.
I mean, I think she's very great. There is another channel called Philosophy Tube, also very great, because the challenge of making something very academic, also visually interesting, I mean, that's like a whole different game. Like if you're going to talk about a love story, you know, something that is inherently fascinating to the people, the challenge is less. But if you're going to talk about, say, transgenderism, or you're going to talk about something like envy, right? Just an academic take on the word envy, and to retain the audience, to make it interesting, very difficult. So I've been watching videos like that. How do people make academic things interesting? Even Verisatium, very cool, like visually very appealing videos.
I have a question. Like, do you edit your videos yourself or do you have a team?
I started editing, but I realized that I honestly don't have the time. So I have found a couple of people who are editing, and they're also learning with me. How can we edit this better? Where are the points where the audience retention drops? What was the point of the video at that time? What can we do different? Like I think it's like a learning curve. But the importance of the thumbnail, like honestly, it was like 1 month ago when I started looking at CTRs. So it's a whole new world. Like, pre-CTR life and post-CTR life is very different.
वही है ना, जब तारे देखते हैं और हमें रियलाइज होता है अच्छा हम तो अलग ही दुनिया में। वही है आई थिंक बेस्ट। तो इसमें द वे मिस्टर बीस्ट के भी, अगर हम कुछ, आपने विली वोंका वाला मिस्टर बीस्ट का वीडियो देखा? डूड, मतलब बेंचमार्क अभी इतना हाई है ना फॉर लाइक द वे ऑफ लाइक व्हाट कैन बी डन इन दिस यूनिवर्स। I mean, Mr. Beast is competing with Netflix and HBO, man. Like he's at a different level now. And Netflix is competing with sleep. I saw that video. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. And do you have movie recommendations? There is a YouTube movie called Man from Earth. I love it. I love movies like that. Very low budget, 2 cameras probably, and only conversation that blows your mind. Even when I used to read Agatha Christie, some of my favorite stories were scenes that have very little setting change. Like it's just 2 people meet up in a train and that's it. The entire story is just the conversation that they have. आपने Knives Out देखी है? Oh yeah, of course. Agatha Christie बोला तो एकदम से वैसे visual आया मेरे दिमाग में. Yeah. So basically like movies that can be converted into plays very easily. Oh, lovely. Like I think that takes more effort. I think movies that can be converted into plays are, like, I think they're just intellectually better. There are some plays which have been converted into movies. A Streetcar Named Desire was even initially a play, right? Yeah. Movie. There's this Denzel Washington movie which was initially a play which got converted into a movie. He won an Oscar for it also or was nominated. It's called Fences. मतलब एक लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली में वो अपने बेटे के साथ रह रहा है और उसकी अपब्रिंगिंग के ऊपर मूवी है। एंड लाइक वो बाप अपना काम कर रहा है शायद और लाइक वो गार्बेज मैन होता है शायद, कुछ ऐसा सा प्लॉट। इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, स्मॉल सेटअप, एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग देयर। There's a book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's something that I would always recommend. Although, honestly, if somebody asks me, why do you recommend it? I don't have a good answer. It's just that it saved my life. In just the way to think about it, I feel like philosophy and intelligence does not need to be separated from humor. So for me, that's what Douglas Adams did. I feel like that book is one of the most philosophical, insightful, spiritual takes on reality and our life. It's a commentary on life, but it is so funny. Like my dream is to one day see a Nobel Prize for Literature go to a humorous book. Like I would want that. Like I would want humor to be appreciated at that level. I feel like it's more difficult to make people laugh than to make them cry or be serious. I'm thinking about more mind-related stuff जो मैंने देखा है, पढ़ा है या सुना है. So, have you seen Severance? Yeah. कैसा लगा आपको? I liked it. It was good. What did you think of the concept? So it's interesting. Anything that deals with human relationships at that core level, I think it's fascinating because it's inherently relatable. That's a weird thing, right? Even if you don't relate to the stories or the characters, like that inherent concept is relatable. What did you think about it? I loved it. I really liked it because I bought it. Varun Grover, when he came on our channel, he said this thing कि documentaries और films में different क्या होता है? Films में आपको झूठ को सच दिखाना होता है कि कोई चीज झूठी और ऐसे सच्ची लगनी चाहिए, और डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज में सच को ऐसे दिखाना है कि ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, वो झूठा लगना है। करेक्ट, राइट। एंड सेवरेंस इज अ झूठा थिंग, बट द वे दे आर सेलिंग इट, मैंने खरीद लिया, वो है ना, आई बॉट इट। I mean, there was a similar one called Transcendence. Yes, by Johnny Depp. Yeah. But I didn't buy that. So that was interesting to me because the concept is similar, जैसे I'll give you an example. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Did you buy it? Like, did you like it?
Oof, that's a weird thing. I bought it. I didn't like it.
Fair enough. Many, very, very good. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Very rare to find people who didn't like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Nice.
Yeah. So the reason I think is that honestly, I got depressed with it. Like I got, मुझे वो काफी ऐसा negative trip में डाल दिया उसको. So it's not that I didn't like it as a movie. I didn't like how it made me feel. Like so much of it is related to bias, right? Like we are still human beings, and the mood that we are in when we see the movie, I think it was correct. I think it was after I had a fight with my
give it another chance.
My wife was my girlfriend at that time, and I had a fight with her. And after that, we had seen that movie, and पता नहीं यार बहुत ऐसा.
We आपने साथ में देखी थी?
नहीं. We had seen it separately. Oh
it's
wow,
not a film
so man.
It's not a film to watch with the girlfriend.
साथ में रहता तो अलग ही ट्रिप हो जाता.
Yeah, so give it another shot. Like, I think you'll like. मैं mind related और चीज so आपसे पूछता हूँ. Clockwork Orange, have you read or seen?
Read and seen, yeah. Mindfuck, Shutter Island.
Island, I love Shutter Island.
Like that's a schizophrenic movie. Even Beautiful Mind is a schizophrenic movie.
Oh, lovely film. उसका एक गाना है Kaleidoscope करके ऐसा मैं सुनता रहता हूँ.
Two movies that keep coming up in my chat also is one is Lucy, the Scarlett Johansson one, and there's another movie called Limitless. Like it's interesting. Both of them talk about the unlimited potential of the human mind, and honestly, that feels like fantasy to me. It's like a collective human fantasy.
मैंने Lucy शायद नहीं देखी, Limitless मेरे को पसंद नहीं आई, and I think people love it.
Yeah, people love it because it's like watching Superman, except that anyone could be Superman, right? People love being told that they could do anything. And the ironic thing is, yeah, kind of, yeah. But at least tamasha is फिर भी based on reality. But here it is like an easy way out. You take a drug and now suddenly you've unlocked the remaining 90% of your brain. You're only using 10% of your brain. What a lovely thing to believe in. Because it just gives you so much potential, right? Like I can be 90% better. The sad truth is that you are using 100% of your brain all the time, except that what that 100% means is different. You know, it's like if you've never gone to the gym and you're climbing stairs, you're using 100% of your strength. But if you go to the gym for a year, now that 100% is different.
Yeah.
Right. So your upper limit keeps changing. It keeps increasing the more effort you put in. So it's never about 10%.
This like brings me to that point in the podcast जहाँ पे Joe Rogan पूछता है, so have you tried DMT?
No, I've had bhang and वो 10% 5% हो जाता है उसके बाद. Oh man.
But any other like ये जो like LSD or क्या like
so,
ecstasy?
I find it very, very fascinating. And I really wish that there wasn't such a taboo, both social and legal, against talking about it. Because, I mean, honestly, I think we can only talk about it on a podcast from a very academic sense. Like we can't really be talking about even our hypothetical experiences. But I find acid very, very fascinating from a neurological perspective. How does it affect the brain? Because again, it comes down to reality. How can a few nanograms, okay, we are talking nanograms of stuff, of a chemical, change the fundamental nature of reality? The most interesting thing for me is how this has potentially a role to play in therapy.
Yes.
Right. So what does therapy do? Suppose somebody suffering from PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Now they have associated a particular event with the worst feeling in their lives. They are scared. They're getting panic attacks. Therapy क्या करता है? Therapy takes that connection. Like for example, if you're scared of dogs, it takes that connection between dog and fear and it breaks that. And it tries to connect dog with a feeling of comfort and love. LSD does that in its own way. It breaks connections in neural networks. There is a possible role for this in therapy that you have to explore. but you can only explore that if it is legal, at least for research purposes. We are missing out on potential therapeutics. And what is the weirdest thing is that in today's world, depression ka treatment is serotonin reuptake inhibitors, right? Like you give drugs to increase serotonin. You wouldn't have even known about serotonin if LSD was not there. Because LSD happened, we try to understand why LSD happened. And in that process, we understood that there is this whole chemical called serotonin that is affecting reality. And then 15, 20 years later, we came up with serotonin drugs. Okay. So a lot of things about our brain we understand because we push the limits. I think there is a big loss for humanity if you say that you cannot research on psychedelics.
This is great. Like said, बहुत मजा आया मेरे को बातें करके. Is there anything? I'm sure इसके बाद हम करते रहेंगे episodes साथ में.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you would like to talk about जिसके बारे में मैंने बात नहीं की?
No, man. I think you've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to and didn't want to talk about. That was amazing. You're a great conversationalist. One thing I would have liked to talk about more is the power of conversations, right? Like you said, you've done what, 900 episodes?
There are 1100 videos on a channel.
Insane. Like that is a lot of conversation with a lot of people from very diverse backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
I would have really wanted to talk about how your personality changes with every guest that comes on. How do you remain fluid enough to allow everybody to be comfortable?
And we can also talk about the parallels between that and dating when you go on first dates. Yeah. It's like first date.
It is like a first date, right? Like, I mean, in a way, right? You guys we are sitting across each other talking for the first time and trying to figure each other out. That's kind of like what dating is.
And then you can quote me on this. First date is never the first date. Second date is always the first date because when you again fix a time, first date to hai ki haan chalo ho gaya. Second date is always the first date. Yeah.
So, all right, interesting. So the second date is at my place.
Done. We'll do it. Bulao, live stream karenge aapke channel.
Live stream karenge. I would like all three, like call Saurabh and Vani also. Like we can talk about books. We can talk about this conversation topic. I'm really interested in that.
Great. Like आप देखो हमारे चैनल पे इतने मस्त creators है. There is Hindal, there is Disha. बहुत मजा आएगा. And I'll have Tayyab with me also. मजा आएगा.
मजा आएगा. Let's do it. Guys, everybody who's watching, everyone who has followed me on Instagram and on YouTube, go follow Chalchitra Talks. I have had such an amazing time talking to Vaibhav in the last 2 hours. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the time, but go follow them and I'll see you soon.